Hey everyone, welcome to the trading floor's 25 days of Tradesmas. Make sure you stick around to the end of this video to find out how you can win $1,000.
Hello, in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a trade that was placed on November 22nd, 2024. If you are in the trading floor community and you want to find this trade so you can see it, it is posted in the testimonial section and it is actually under the November 25th, 2024 date. So you'll find it under there. This trade was part of the Strategy War Season 7. So I competed on the Wave Rider team and the Price Action Concept team. And you'll see that on the chart, like the indicator, but just follow along with the analysis more than anything. The Wave Rider signal is there. You can use it if you'd like, but it's not necessary. More than anything, the price action analysis is what you should be paying attention to here. You can see my little note that I did right up here for the November 22nd trade. I was on NASDAQ, the 5-minute time frame. The market was consolidated. You will definitely see that in a moment when I pull up the chart. There was a rejection wick off of a support price action level that was to the left. There was a bullish Wave Rider signal, was an indication for me to look for a bullish trade. And then the take profit was supposed to be at a level that was set to the left for a 2.2 reward. But I had to close it early because it was a Friday. And I got into this trade later in the day, and you'll see, but it's a little bit of a sad moment for me because it all would have worked out, but because it was a Friday, because there are weekend fees that you have to hold that are heavier than normal holding of trades, and you have to cover them, and then there's also a potential of like an opening gap that can happen sometimes, and it doesn't always gap in your favor. You have no way of knowing where it's going to gap. I just didn't want to risk it. And I also, like I said, was competing in Strategy Wars. I wanted to be able to close it out and get my point for my team. But because of all of those things, you will see that the trade ends up looking a little like sad. They're not the best profit situation. I'll show you here. This is, like I said, the 22nd of November. So it ends up being $182.65 that I made on this trade, but it should have been like a 2.2R. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. So again, NASDAQ 100, the 5-minute time frame. This is the trade we're talking about. Like up here, you can see where my initial take profit target was supposed to be. And, obviously it does get there, but this nice strong bullish candle doesn't actually print until Monday opening of market. So I would have had to held the trade over the weekend and, through opening and with the market fees and the weekend fees they charge are even more than overnight fees. And it wasn't enough in profit at the time that I needed to make that decision for it to be worth it. If it was a little more in profit, I probably would have moved to, move my trade to a little bit more of a slightly profit or break even situation to cover the fees and all that and then let it run. But again, I would have paid more than $180 in fees most likely to hold for that weekend. And you don't know if it's going to gap in your favor or not. You never know. So it just wasn't worth it. But with that being said, let's review the trade and let's pretend for a moment that this was not a Friday where I was forced to close and what could have, should have, would have world of this. All right, so what we have here is a bunch of consolidation. So yes, there's a little bit of a market structure being formed. If you really want to try and force it here, it's happening to the bullish side. So that's reassuring. But for the most part, what I'm really seeing is just a bunch of consolidation happening, even including where I'm at for the most part. So I even got stuck in some consolidation myself, which is not really fun. But I was pretty, like I said, bullish in my bias because of the way that the structure was starting to form. Like here's your low, you're pushing up. This is kind of like a new area of a low, and you're pushing up again. This is your new support of a low. And because of that, like sort of pattern I was starting to see, and again, maybe a stair-like pattern, but it's a little harder to see here. I mean, maybe if you take it in chunks, you can kind of see it, how it would be forming. But anyhow, I can also, if you see just consolidation, don't feel bad. I can also see a lot of consolidation happening within these areas of steps that are being formed of market structure. But nonetheless, there was more pressure being put to the bullish side, and these resistance levels were being broken. So, you have your resistance here, it's being broken. And then you come back and retest, but your support isn't even tested. It pushes back up and it's, breaking through this high and making a new higher high. And you have now a new support being formed. And all of these things kind of just lead you to believe, okay, there is bullish pressure now being created. I am, though, like I said, looking at this trade from a Friday afternoon perspective, which kind of, it sucks, I'll be honest, because it's hit or miss with a Friday. You can either have a ton of volume that just pokes out last minute in the market, or you could sit in consolidation sometimes. And this was definitely a little bit more of a gamble with this trade. I liked where I got in. I was happy with the way the market, like I said, was starting to form. I was glad that I had this little support level forming. So when I did decide to get in, I was around this point. I had a nice rejection wick happening at this support that I had seen like being respected from like what I just said, like where it was breaking through it. It does come back down and breaks through it again. And like each time it's starting to like respect it a little bit more and more. So once I saw it come here and break through, retest this support and reject on it, I was pretty good with having that as my new support and knowing that we were going to be working within like a new zone, like this type of area as a new zone. And then, in grand scheme, this whole area is a zone. But for now, in the short term of this trade and entering it, it was kind of this area I was working in. So again, that was kind of the main like aha moment for me to say, let's get into this. I knew I liked the idea of a bullish trend. I just didn't know when I would get in, and that was my aha moment. I did want to see, though, a couple of bullish candles form, see the momentum had been pushing up, but not too crazy, and it was enough that I was like, okay, let's get in here. So I did get into at the close of this candle. I did keep my stop loss a little bit lower than even this wick. I just, I was being extra cautious. I had this little level of price action that I liked, amount of wicking happening, and I felt like that was a little safer than just hanging out below this one. And it seemed to be fine. It worked out fine for me to be there. As far as my take profit, like I said, my initial goal when I set this trade was to be up here. It was a level to the left. It was a 2.2 R. And, it was close to around a number like that 20,900 area. So kind of like a bankish number where it would be pulling to something rounded and even. And that was initially, I was hoping it would give that little push, that that it can do sometimes on a Friday afternoon. And, it just found me. It found me miserable. It did not show up. The volume did not come to play on this Friday afternoon. It took off early. But that's okay. Like I said, it shows up Monday. So again, if I had been willing to hold and things were a little bit different in this situation as far as how much profit I might have been in, could I have moved my stop loss and covered my fees and all of that and still been safe? Yeah, I probably would have considered maybe doing that. But at this point in time, it just didn't make sense for me from a risk management point of view to continue to hold this trade over the weekend. But I want to make it clear, there was no reason as far as market analysis goes as to why I needed to leave this trade. So if this was just a basic weekday, not going into the weekends, I definitely would have continued to hold this trade. There was no reason for me to exit this trade at the point that I did, other than that it was just a Friday afternoon. Everything looked like it was going great as far as the trade, and there was no reason for me to think otherwise. I mean, it was definitely going sideways still, but it was respecting this support really, really well, and that's a huge confirmation indication that, hey, things are going good. And then you get these really bullish that are pushing up, so that's good to see. And anyhow, that is what that was looking like, and it would have played out beautifully if it was just any other day than a Friday afternoon. But it is what it is, and again, I just didn't work out risk management wise for me to continue to hold this trade. So do what's best for you at the end of the day, whatever your plan calls for. For me, this doesn't make sense because it very easily could have been a super, super bearish candle with opening, and I would have lost a trade plus holding weekend fees and all that other stuff that happens when you hold a trade over a weekend. So the risk to sense, especially because I was so far into strategy wars as well. So remembering this is November 22nd, and I'll show you guys, this is the 21st. You guys can see I'm the 21st trade, and I can show you, this is the whole month. But what you'll see, I think it stopped on the 25th, so I only had one more day after this anyhow. And I was pretty well into profit. I was already at my goal for the month. come the 22nd. So I wasn't willing to risk it and then like potentially lose money on just holding a trade over the weekend. I didn't necessarily need that trade on the 22nd to play out to its full potential. I more so than anything really just wanted to be participating from my team and get them the points and finish out the competition. So I was okay to close that trade out on the Friday afternoon with this smaller profit that I was here, this 182.65. All right. That is this trade for November 22nd. And, I hope that makes sense to you, why I got into it, what I was seeing, what I was initially targeting, all of that stuff. Again, it would have been a beautifully executed trade had it been anything other than a Friday afternoon. And it would have all looked great and worked out perfect. But this is the reality of trading. This is real life trading. This is what it looks like. So just so you guys are aware, make sure that you're doing your plans according to what makes sense for you and your personal trading and your goals, not just holding trades because you say, hey, I have to hold this trade or something like that. This made total sense for me to close this trade out and not risk losing potentially $1,000 or plus, it'd be $1,000 plus because of the fees and everything, losing all of that money on a trade that I honestly didn't need to have play out to full potential. So that's just a little tip there. If you're at a point where you've met your target for the month or week or, year, whatever, however your management plan works, if you're at that point and you've met your goal, don't feel bad taking your profit off of the table and saying, you know what, I don't want to continue to risk anymore. I'm happy with this profit. I'm going to take it and be done. And then truly walk away at that point. Like I said, I continued to trade 2 more days, but I was very cautious with the trades that I did take because I knew I had met my goal and I was done. So I didn't want to risk losing them. And I participated for my teams, but, don't feel bad about that. Like if you don't have a competition or something you're in, make sure you stop trading. When you meet your goal, you met your goal. Don't feel bad to take your profits off of the table. Don't feel bad to close a trade out on a Friday if risk-wise it doesn't make sense to continue to hold it. Just suggestions I want to recommend, and that's why I wanted to show you guys this trade, because it doesn't always have to be like finish the trade out. You started it, finish it out. Sometimes there are exceptions, and you need to know when does it make sense for you personally to make those exceptions. And for me personally, for this day, it made sense for me to just close that trade out and not hold it. Anyhow, that is it for this trade, and I hope that was helpful. And if you'd like to see more about the Strategy Wars series that I was competing in, please go check out my YouTube channel. I have the 12 days where I show nothing but the trades that I took during November for Strategy Wars Season 7. And you can see all the different trades like I showed you guys in that video, and they are all there. I explain each of them, why I took them, the rationale behind them, and all of that. So if you'd like to see more of that, make sure you check out my YouTube channel. It is in the description below. All right, you guys, bye.
Thanks for sticking around to the end. To be eligible for the free $1,000 giveaway, you just have to be able to receive a PayPal payment. To enter, like and comment below and come back tomorrow for another video and another chance to enter.